The lights dim, the murmurs rise, and a single graphic flickers across the screen. KTV's real WNBA Top 10. It isn't just a list. It's a lit match dropped into a room soaked in gasoline. Coaches glare. Players scroll. Fans reload timelines like slot machines hunting for outrage. 10 through 1. The countdown slices through reputations with the calm of a surgeon and the noise of a siren. Tonight, we're not watching highlights. We're dissecting hierarchies, contracts, narratives, and egos. Keep breathing. Every ranking has a ripple, and every ripple has a cost. This isn't consensus. This is confrontation. Televised. From the moment the host says, "Prestige," you can hear the knives being sharpened. Prestige means gatekeeping, and gatekeeping breeds drama. The omissions sting first. Big names on the outside looking in, trophies suddenly feeling like receipts past due. Then the placements ignite. Whispers turn to shouts. Shouts become threads. Threads morph into think pieces masquerading as truth. But the center of gravity remains unshakable. Every slot is a statement. Every statement a dare. The league's power map is redrawn live, and somewhere a locker room TV gets muted. Denial is defense. Acceptance is ammunition. Everyone chooses a side tonight. Caitlin Clark lands at number 3, and the silence before the uproar feels engineered. 13 games. That's all it took for her name to orbit the conversation, like a satellite broadcasting revolution. She isn't just playing basketball. She's reprogramming its language. Every assist, every logo 3, every glare under the lights becomes a manifesto. The list may crown 2 others above her, but no ranking can contain momentum. What the legends built, Clark broadcasts. For every critic clutching tradition, a generation sees reflection. Legacy trembles. Ego listens, and somewhere between disbelief and respect, the future clears its throat. Clark's film plays like a confession booth for defenders. Heads wrong, and she lasers a skip. Chase over, and she backcuts the clock. Go under, and the logo turns into a launching pad. But greatness carries invoices. How do you crown a comet before it finishes orbit? The host argues impact is currency, and Clark pays in full every night she touches hardwood. Still, legacy loyalists bristle. They demand championships, then dismiss circumstances. They cite tenure, then ignore transformation. Somewhere between data and disbelief, a truth surfaces. Culture moves fast, and sometimes the crown arrives before the robe. For now, the summit is guarded by legends in the making. Number 2, Nafisa Collier, a quiet storm interrupted by injury, still stamping entire months like passports. Number 1, Aya Wilson, the inevitable end of arguments, the human answer key. MVPs, finals MVPs, parades of box score dominance. None of it feels sufficient when you watch the clock bend around her. The list isn't anti-Clark, it's pro-proof. Collier wrote a thesis before the sprain. Wilson turned the defense of greatness into folklore. To overtake them, you don't break records. You rewrite definitions. Until then, the mountain keeps its ruthless weather gate for challengers. Number 4 is a scar that glows in the dark. Breanna Stewart, on one leg, dragging a franchise toward dignity the way a lighthouse drags ships toward shore. 17 straight points while the room emptied of heroes and excuses. Loss can expose weakness. Sometimes it exposes soul. The host doesn't hand out sympathy trophies. They hand out truth. And the truth is that effort can be as terrifying as dominance. You watch Stewart miss the second round and still feel the weight of elite. If defeat has a ceiling, she keeps kicking through. Pain narrates, but her game finishes sentences. At 5, Alyssa Thomas brings a different kind of terror, inevitability. Triples without threes, momentum without mercy. She bulldozes angles and builds advantages brick by brick, a master contractor of chaos. Yet the shoulder whispers limitations, a reminder that mechanics matter when time shrinks. The host is ruthless, not cruel, sealing counts when crowns are scarce. Defense can win nights, offense wins arguments. Thomas forces both to negotiate. In big moments, the shot chart stares back like a Rorschach test. We see toughness. We see constraints. We see a queen pacing the edge of empire. The throne requires undeniable closing. 6 belongs to Kelsey Mitchell, and the number feels like a dare. She carried rosters wrapped in ice packs and prayer, willing scoreboards to blink differently. Some players ask for help. Mitchell asks for space and manufactures a rest. Injuries swarmed like locusts, yet the Fever's heartbeat kept time with her dribble. You don't judge that season by banners. You judge it by the footage where exhaustion looks negotiable. The host rewards resistance. They reward players who refuse to read the script. Mitchell may not wear a ring yet, but the soundtrack already sounds like a parade rehearsal. Trust that. Angel Reese's absence from the list feels louder than any placement. Her fans demand answers. Her critics nod knowingly. Somewhere between both camps stands a truth too complex for hashtags. Talent isn't enough when headlines outweigh highlights. Reese has a charisma, the following, the visibility. But charisma without discipline turns combustible. She insists her words get twisted, but footage plays like mirrors, unforgiving and literal. A single statement becomes a season-long echo. Every interview feels like a coin toss between inspiration and implosion. The game loves her energy. The league fears her volatility. The media, they just keep recording. Reese has built a career out of defiance, and sometimes defiance looks like courage. Other times, it looks like chaos. On her podcast, she said she'd rather get fined than talk to reporters, a declaration that sounded more like rebellion than restraint. But in a league fighting for growth, silence isn't privacy, it's absence. Media obligations aren't suggestions, they're lifelines. The WNBA survives on visibility, and when a rising star closes the blinds, the ecosystem flickers. The hosts don't hate her, they warn her. Because if attention built her empire, accountability is the only thing that can keep it standing. Commentators argue Reese's biggest controversies aren't media fabrications, they're reflections. When she called out teammates or dodged accountability, the camera didn't twist a narrative, it froze it. Every word became evidence. Every pause became implication. And when criticism came, it wasn't censorship, it was consequence. There's a difference between being misquoted and being miscalculated. Fans see the glare, executives see risk. For the same reason Clark gets endorsement calls, Reese gets caution memos. Reputation is a currency, and in this economy, volatility spends fast. Redemption is possible, but only when she stops mistaking volume for validation. The irony isn't lost on anyone. Angel Reese, the self-proclaimed media victim, runs her own podcast. She controls the mic, the platform, the narrative. Yet somehow, every broadcast becomes another battlefield. The issue isn't exposure, it's execution. She demands authenticity, then edits herself into contradiction. When transparency becomes theater, sincerity gets lost in applause. And somewhere between empowerment and ego, the message dissolves. The host's warning feels less like condemnation and more like prophecy. If Reese doesn't learn to manage her own spotlight, it won't burn brighter, it'll burn out. And in the WNBA, memory fades fast when headlines stop printing. Her silence during the Indiana Fever racism investigation was another misstep that echoed louder than any quote. When fans were accused unfairly, Reese could have ended the chaos with one sentence. I heard nothing racist, but she stayed quiet and the narrative festered. For a league desperate for unity, that silence spoke volumes. It wasn't just a PR mistake. It was a missed chance to lead. The WNBA isn't built on dunks. It's built on discourse. When players choose distance over dialogue, the story gets written without them. And once written, rewriting it takes more than highlights. It takes humility. Reese's defenders point to youth. They say she's learning. They say the league scrutiny would break anyone. And maybe they're right. But growth demands collision. The best players don't dodge the mirror. They stare it down. Caitlin Clark has critics too. Plenty of them. But she feeds on them. Converts them into fuel. That's the difference between noise and narrative. The KTV list wasn't meant to humiliate. It was meant to illuminate. When Reese's name was missing, it wasn't a punishment. It was punctuation. The statement reads clearly, the league rewards accountability as much as athleticism. And right now, she's drafting excuses, not legacy. Aya Wilson's dominance casts a shadow long enough to challenge anyone's ego. But even she's learned how to play the game beyond the whistle. Polished, poised, calculated. That's what professionalism looks like under pressure. Reese has that same potential, buried under impulse. The warning isn't cruel, it's cautionary. The moment she channels her fire into focus, the story changes. Fans don't want perfection, they want growth. And the WNBA, still writing its identity in real time, needs both saints and storms. Reese can be both. But if she keeps choosing conflict over composure, history won't crown her, it'll caution others about her. Until Angel Reese learns to control her own reflection, she'll remain an icon defined by reaction. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's legend grows louder, not because she's flawless, but because she learned how to fail publicly and keep performing. That's what leadership looks like. The KTV list ends where all debates begin, with a mirror. Every player who made it stared into theirs and didn't flinch. Every player who didn't will have to decide if they're ready to. The lights dim again. The screen fades to black, and the narrator whispers one final truth. Greatness isn't just earned, it's managed.